Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Friday Nights with Jeff and Nope. Joe's gone. So we've got Krista here.
Special guest.
Special diva guest.
I noticed how you slipped that diva in there.
Well, now the listeners know. As everybody should know, Joe is on PTO vacation, and so I was left hanging without a companion. And Krista so graciously stepped up to be my co-host. So thank you,
you were
Krista.
begging, and so I was
It
like...
was sad. It was groveling.
I guess.
It's going to cost me $20 and some sort of...
Per minute.
What?
Per minute.
Permanent?
$20 per minute.
Oh, per minute. Oh, my God. I thought you said per... Okay, we're shutting it down.
You've already gone over your budget.
Yeah, my budget is blown now. So yes, we're not really sure where this is going to go. We're just kind of throwing this together real quick. So Chris and I did talk earlier. We wanted to talk a little bit about some movies and stuff. So we will probably talk about that. The other thing is I don't really have any newsworthy stories, but I do want to talk about something that Chris and I are very passionate about. So the first topic then will be about serial killers. Oh,
sweet.
Serial killers.
We're never getting to movies.
So we may have to cut this and then talk about movies another time. But so Krista has, since with the podcast and everything, turned me on to this podcast called My Favorite Murder by two ladies, and I have no idea what their names are.
Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark.
Yes. So I'm only on like episode 13 or something like that. Early, I mean, I'm almost a year behind still.
You're a noob.
I've got all these other ones I listen to, and with my life, I don't have a lot of opportunities. So, but listening to them, it's opened my eyes to a couple different things. So I noticed this yesterday, 2 nights ago, driving home, and then again last night. So I was driving home around midnight, both nights, down J, which is a very dark road.
Desolate,
right? Yep. There's houses maybe every mile or so, and they're spread out. So like every mile on the right, then there's another house half a mile on the left, and it goes by. So there's not a lot of activity, right?
Yeah.
And most everything at that point is pitch black. It's dark. The houses aren't lit up or anything.
Well, no,
like that.
they're a lot of times set back from the road too.
Correct. Yeah. So they're a little bit farther away. You kind of can't see it, but every once in a while you'll see a light on or whatever. But the last 2 nights now, this house that has been super dark, just the basement lights have been on. And so I'm just like,
okay, which way? Which way on J from?
So if I go east, obviously, and it's on the north side of the road.
Okay, interesting.
It's like this just lone house, a couple trees around it. Everything's pitch black except for the lights down in the basement, but they're like bright white lights. So like it just has like this aura and glow around it rather than just like a normal like I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
The yellow shade lights.
I have 2 theories.
So I'm thinking somebody's being murdered.
Someone's getting chopped up.
Yeah, for sure.
Or someone's growing some good weed down there.
That could be too. I never would have thought of that.
Maybe they're using human body parts for
fertilizer. Hey, when you got
that is an industrious individual.
Can't knock a guy for his hustle, right?
It's interesting how you think about that stuff, though. How those things start to cross your mind when you start listening to things like My Favorite Murder.
The other thing is what I've noticed as a man is that the 2 girls who talk about it, they're constantly in fear of being murdered. Now they live in a larger metropolitan area,
like I do,
in Wisconsin.
They're in.
I was thinking you.
They live in Wisconsin.
Let's go stalk them. No, I believe they're in the.
They're in
Francisco,
California,
right?
Yeah.
I think it's San Francisco. So they're in a very large metropolitan area, as Krista does. And, when I'm walking through whatever, I get scared, but it's like all in my head. So I just tell myself, it's just dark. You just don't know it. You can't see. I don't really think there's somebody out there who's going to get me. But the way these 2 girls talk, they're just like always fearing being murdered.
Yes.
Like they buy big dogs and they always have somebody walk them out to their cars. But I also thought it was interesting, like from a mind state of somebody who you can be a fan of something and you kind of always think about it, but at the same time, to genuinely be concerned for your own life at all points because of the gender that you are, it's kind of a crazy perspective to have. So
welcome to my world.
I just thought it might be a good perspective.
I'm there. I wouldn't say Georgia, I think, has some anxiety issues that she talks about all the time.
Sure.
I think that contributes to her being terrified of being murdered all the time. But I am hyper vigilant when I'm by myself.
Okay.
I always know what's around me, who's around me. I notice what cars are parked next to mine in parking lots.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I pay very close attention to my surroundings.
See, I guess I just don't, and maybe that's an ignorance or whatever it is, but it was interesting to hear them talk about it from a completely different perspective from somebody who's a male and somebody who lives out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, and we live in a really nice community. I'm never nervous or anything like that around it, but
I do too. I live in a very nice suburb of Milwaukee, but crime happens everywhere, man.
That's true.
Those are the stories that show up on, 2020 or 48 hours. The nice family next door
So the other thing I've done is I've joined their Facebook page, and it's so you have to send them a message, and they just do it so that I think it's so kids don't join it or something.
Probably.
Like they said earlier in the thing, so I sent.
There's a lot of swearing and
they accepted
graphic stuff. Yeah, you're a murderino.
People are constantly posting my favorite hometown murder stuff, and I know I try to avoid going on Facebook in general, but the last 2 days I've just been addicted. Where it's reading every post and then read the whole article on my favorite, the hometown murder, and then reading about it and then looking it up, and then because sometimes these are made into movies and then it's all this stuff. So
I have one that
really
that I thought about submitting. It's not my hometown, but it's I used to work at Wisconsin Electric.
Okay.
In Franklin, and a coworker of mine was murdered.
Oh, really?
Probably by his son, but I don't believe they've ever been able to prove that.
Wow.
Yeah. And I actually spoke to the son. He called on Monday morning. This was like 15 years ago. And said, I was answering the phones, and he said, I can't find my parents. They went up north. I'm wondering, is my dad at work today? And he wasn't. I tried transferring him back. His dad wasn't there. And I came back and I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, he's not here. And he's like, oh, I'm so worried. Can I talk to somebody? So I transferred it to someone else.
Sure.
Well, come to find out, I don't know if they ever even found everybody. The parents and their other son and their dog all went missing.
Really?
And I think they found remains from some of the people. Okay. And the son, this is the Karnak family. That was their names.
Okay.
The son immediately became a suspect.
Well, of course. The only living survivor automatically becomes a suspect.
The one who didn't go up north.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I'd have to look up the details, which I would do before I write in my hometown murder, is that he moved out of state. He changed his name. He did a bunch of really suspicious, shady stuff.
But I think I would too, because first of all, if
it
my
was
parents
prior
were
to anything happening, though. It was he was trying to preempt everything happening. Yeah.
'Cause I could see I wouldn't want to drive around Sheboygan knowing that everything reminds me of my family.
Or that people are always going to look at you and hear your name and think,
you're the blah 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 person.
Right.
I don't blame him for that, but before the trial, then it gets a little weird.
Yeah, there were just a lot of weird things that were suspicious.
When he talked to you, was it did it sound fake? Hey, I'm really, really worried versus, oh my God, please, I'm really concerned. Nothing stood out obviously to you. No. Did the cops ever come talk to you?
You know what? No. I do feel though, and the cops did not talk to me. I do feel I had an inkling though that something was off.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I would have thought that they would have called you and be like, hey, you had contact with this person.
Because I transferred him to someone else, and I think they talked much more in depth with him.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Still,
should I call him and be like, hey, I got some a hot tip from 15 years ago.
It's one of those things. I think when the first time you call somebody, you're kind of nervous because you're making that phone call, and then you kind of hit the ground running.
Maybe it was
with
the
your
fourth or
story
fifth time
thing.
he's maybe he didn't start with me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure. I mean, if he's trying to get away with it, he probably practiced the whole thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Plotting, scheming. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting. So Chris and I have already talked about doing a separate podcast on serial killers and murderers, I guess, in general.
We may just incorporate it into our
Paranormal
sister podcast,
Paranormal
Palaver.
New episode posted 2 days ago. So hopefully you get a chance to listen to that one. I thought it was a pretty good episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, and don't worry if you are listening and a fan of the other one. Joe did post. We did record a video really quickly before Joe left for the next Paranormal Palaver.
An episode?
Even though he will be gone.
Yeah.
We'll still be posting something. So, but don't fret out there, folks.
Yeah. The logistics were a little confusing for me, which you'll hear.
Yes. And then, then he posted the video yesterday, and he's in it. And I'm like, and Chris is gone. I'm like, so the magic of podcasting, folks. Don't worry how it works. So yeah, any other serial killer? I just thought it was interesting how immediately my mind was like, yep, that guy's doing something naughty, or something murderous in his basement.
I feel like I have this ongoing joke where I feel like all serial killers have a look.
Okay.
So we'll have member photos that you see come up. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a serial killer. They usually have outdated glasses, like weird haircuts, mustaches. You know what I'm talking about? They have a look. The Jeffrey Dahmer look.
Yeah, but there's Jeffrey Dahmer is really different than, say, Macy. Or Gacy, I'm sorry. The Macy's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or what's his face? The really good-looking, charismatic, what's his name?
No idea.
Oh, wow. We're big fans of serial killers.
There's so many of them. It's hard to
No,
keep
he's
track.
one of the most famous.
Dahmer was, I don't know.
I drive through the Marquette area all the time. I just typed in Dahmer. I was trying to look up something else, but because you said that's where he lived, that's where Dahmer lived and committed all the murders was in the Marquette
area.
Yeah,
I've been there quite a few times.
I'm googling handsome serial killer.
All right. Work network, work Wi-Fi.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, okay,
that makes sense.
I would not have looked at him and thought, oh yeah. He's a serial killer.
Yeah, I just I think though that it's just a different mindset now too, and I get these things now too where it says crazy family stories, like the secrets families hold and stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, my grandma killed my grandpa, but we just said he went away or something like that. I just found this out the other day, and so. It's just kind of weird.
That's a pretty crazy secret.
It seems like everybody's got weird things out there.
I don't think I have one of those. Yeah. Or it's a secret to me.
Yeah, you're left out of the loop.
Yeah. Just go right on keeping me out of that loop. I'm cool.
I just think it's funny how I think you kind of you're in this bubble and you're as you get older the bubble slowly breaks apart a little bit, and some people still live in the bubble as a kid, and some people you kind of learn a little bit more, and then you kind of, I don't know, I see lately I've been inundated with just so much negative, not to where Joe where it's depressing, but just bad things that people do, and it's just kind of like, eh. So
I definitely find myself watching the news, especially living in the Milwaukee area. There's just a lot of violent crime that's going on there right now, where you get to the point where you get through the weather, you get through the local normal stuff. Like there was a fire here today, there was an accident here, and then they start talking about just things that people are doing to each other, and my husband and I are like, oh, well, I've had enough. Let's find something else. I can't handle this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's even got to be worse. Like in Chicago, they have record numbers of murders. Like it's just like
Milwaukee did in 2016.
Oh, did it really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty bad. Gun violence is at an all-time high.
Yeah, I don't know what it's all part of, and well, so that's probably another topic for another time. So. But so that was the murder thing. There's more to it.
The murder
it's one of those things where I don't really want to talk about a specific murder,
right?
Because
save that for the podcast.
Save that. But I did see something too. It was where the bad guys, the serial killers in movies, what they're based off of. And every one of them is Ed Gein. And
really?
I'm really, well, so they did the Psycho, Norman Bates, based off of Ed Gein.
Really?
Because Ed Gein has his mom had the mom complex thing.
Okay.
The guy from Hannibal, the Buffalo Bill, because he wanted to wear the suit of skin, Ed Gein also. Leatherface from Chainsaw Massacre, again, Ed Gein.
So Ed Gein is Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
He's from Wisconsin. Okay.
So, And I think there's a family story involved with him. So when we do the podcast, I'm going to see if I can get that verified. I don't think it will. It's just one of those things where when things like that happen, you don't want to talk about it.
Oh, sure. So, yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be, I think, one of the first ones we do, just because it is so local. Dahmer and him. But I think, because I was listening to the My Favorite Murder, and I thought, well, eventually they're going to get to Ed Gein, because I think, for me anyway, he's such a staple for everything. He's so messed up and so twisted that it's like one of the top, ones.
What's interesting is they don't cover a lot of serial killers. A lot of theirs are just sort of single, they have covered some.
Sure.
But
yeah, the ones I've read were, and I don't know where I'm at, obviously it's much farther back than you, but a lot of them are really twisted, like really weird, and like, it's like, oh man, these people are just,
I know.
And then they let them out of jail, and then they do it again, and and
it's crazy.
Yeah, so everything's in the 70s, 60s, 80s, whatever, somewhere in there, and it's just like, you get away with anything. You could literally get away with murder back
pretty
then.
much.
So, yeah. All right, so let's lead that into movies, as I said.
Does it have to be about murder?
No. It's just I was thinking of serial killers in movies, and
Yeah.
Krista has a list of movies that she wants to talk about.
So I have, and I know a lot of people are like this, and you and I talked about this, and we have differing opinions on this.
Correct.
But I have this like list of movies that I've seen over and over again, and if I run into them on cable, I said I don't care if it's 5 minutes in or 55 minutes in, I will stop what I'm doing and I will just watch it. Yeah. I don't know what it is about these movies, but I just have these movies, and I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
And I thought it was interesting that you said you watch a movie once and you never come back to it.
I'm not a watch it again kind of guy. So let's go through your movies.
So you've never seen Star Wars more than once?
I mean, okay, so it came out in 80s, whatever. I've probably seen it 3 times.
Okay.
And once was like when I first got old enough to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I watched them again when the new ones came out. The 1, 2, and 3 came out.
Connect them all together.
And I think I watched them again when Rogue One was going to come out.
Okay.
So now I will say I do tend to watch good movies twice right after each other.
Oh, really?
So like I watched Star Wars, the Rogue One. I'm sorry, the number 7. Which is that one? Whatever. Is the Rogue One's a new one. So which one was last year?
I don't remember. I'm not keeping track. No. Oh, maybe.
Whatever number 7 is. Okay. I know everybody out there is
freaking out right now. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just not. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a huge fan. I like Joe.
Yeah.
So Joe's probably gonna be freaking out right now.
Yeah.
Why can't I be on the podcast right now? And tell people? So I watched it once, and then I'll like a week or 2, 3, 4 weeks later, I'll watch it again so I can pick up on everything.
Oh, sure.
And then I'm done with it.
A movie that's complex, you have to watch more than once, just because you're gonna miss stuff.
But otherwise, I'm just not. I already know how it ends, and so that for me is one of those things where there's no mystery involved with it anymore.
Yeah.
And we talked about this, and that's why I like sports so much, is because unless if it's a live sporting event, you have no idea how that's going to end.
Sure.
And so that's how I like sports, is that I'd rather put on a random game, whatever it is, than watch another movie, because I already know I don't know how that's going to end.
Yeah.
And so, I have friends who are big movie fans, and they'll just watch the same movie over and over again, which I was like, we already know. I know how this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Now, The other thing is that I haven't had cable in like 4 or 5 years now, so I don't just flip through.
Yeah.
So I have a list of. It's kind of like Netflix. So I have a list of all these movies, and if I've seen it once, I'm not going to
bother with
again.
it,
because there's another movie I'd rather see.
Sure.
So the movies coming out all the time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay. So, the Bourne movies, the Jason Bourne movies.
Have you seen the new one?
Not yet.
I saw it.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's kind of the same. I think they're all the same. I think they're action-packed.
Yeah.
I think they're clever.
Yeah.
They're not too sleuthy where you have to like figure things out.
No, we know who the bad guys are and who the good guys are.
And he, it's kind of MacGyver-ish to me.
Yeah, kind of.
How he figures stuff out.
He's very much like he will just get out of any situation. He's very James Bond, in my opinion.
Resourceful.
He can figure anything out and get out of any bind that he's in.
Yeah, they're very good movies. Don't get me wrong.
And the first one is there was nothing like it. It's watching the fighting scenes and how all of a sudden he'd just be standing there 1 minute and suddenly he knows all these really interesting fighting moves and he can speak German fluently and didn't know he could. And that was really intriguing to me. I thought that was
back when
cool.
they first got him and all that stuff.
Yeah, the bullet holes and stuff.
No, they had the little computer chip thing.
Oh, yeah.
The
barcode. It's a barcode.
So the other thing is about the James Bond, Jason Bourne movies is that although James Bond is one of those ones I did watch, I think wasn't Spectre, it was someone before that, I think.
Spectre was really dark.
The one, I think
Hotel...
Casino. Skyfall.
Whoa. Oh, Skyfall. Okay.
One of my favorite, and I watched them all. And I'm a big James Bond fan.
I really like Daniel Craig in the role.
Yeah,
I do.
And hope he comes back for another one.
Yeah. They don't let you get too old, though, and they pick someone
But they
else.
want him to, and he said that he was so exhausted after the last one. He's like, I can't
even
do it
imagine.
again. But now that he's had it a year, now he's kind of like, oh, I might do it again.
How old is he?
Still sexy enough to be
40s? Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
But anyways, those ones, the Jason Bournes, they're so much alike. It's hard for me to distinguish them sometimes, which I think is for me negative. Does that make sense? Where they're all kind of the same, and even though they are the same characters, it definitely
the objective's just a little bit different.
That's why Star Wars ruins it for me too with the Death Star, where they go in and shoot the thing. And it blows up, and then 2 movies later they do the exact same thing. And then at number 7 they do the same thing, and it's just
that's pretty funny.
I feel like we've done this before. Now, if I'm wrong in that, don't murder me or whatever. And that's why I think.
Well, and some of these movies are not like cinematic, extravaganzas. They're just something about them appeals to me. Sure. Like one of the movies on my list is Dazed and Confused. Now. Have you seen it? Obviously,
yes.
So there's a handful of people.
This appeals to you specifically because of.
Well,
I think your
the
high
culture
school
of it. Yeah, no, not high school. Not high school at all.
Oh, college.
No.
Post
high school. Yeah.
But see, that was never me. That was never me. I didn't.
But
I didn't go to regular school.
Matthew McConaughey's first movie and his role in that is really funny. Ben Affleck, who I'm not really a big fan of actor-wise. I think the movies he's doing that he's directing are really great.
Oh, if you haven't seen
Argo.
it, you should go see Good Will Hunting. It's one of those
Oh,
movies.
well, yeah, of course. I love that
amazing.
movie. Yeah. To me, that's all about Matt Damon, though.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's just sort of like that friend from Baston who's like, whatever. Yeah. But anyway, his role in Dazed and Confused is hilarious. Mm-hmm. I mean, he plays the douchiest douchebag who flunks and has to repeat senior year and then, therefore be a douche to everyone all over again. And it's just really funny. But most of the people in that movie are horrible actors. I mean, it's really bad acting. Yeah. But it just, it's one of those movies that... Jovovich?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the Resident Evil movies.
Yeah, that was her first movie. I think.
Yep. One of the first.
One of her first, yeah.
Yeah.
The movie didn't really appeal to me. I didn't really. That wasn't me,
Sure.
Wasn't my high school experience.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Pulp Fiction. Huge Pulp Fiction fan.
It took me a long time to watch that movie. It was probably only a year or two ago that I watched the full thing.
I saw it when it first came out, and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I
was very young and naive, and I didn't get any of the drug stuff that was happening. I was in high school. Oh, my God. None of that. It went right over my head, but I loved it anyway because it's just such a cool movie.
Sure.
Really, really cool movie.
I don't know if I like Quentin Tarantino. Some of his stuff I really like the Kill Bills one. I did not like that.
Oh, love those movies.
But I really love Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah, of course.
I really love Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Wasn't a real big fan of the Grindhouse series. Those 3 that they did.
The Death Proof I thought was really good.
Okay.
The guy in the car who keeps running. Yeah, I love that one.
The
other ones were dumb. Yeah, that's stupid.
Leg.
I didn't like that.
And it wasn't.
That was Rodriguez.
Eli Roth did one, and Rodriguez did one. Yeah. So the 3 of them did one. I just think there's not much thought, not thought, because there's little nuances to all of his stuff, like where it's like this is this, and it is.
They're
clever.
very dialogue-y.
Yeah,
I mean, he's all about the dialogue.
Yeah. Now
and the music, the soundtracks to his movies are always fantastic.
I need to see Django Unchained. And
it's good.
Apparently, they're really, really good.
Yes, just be prepared for. Yeah. The Hateful Eight is like so bloody and just like gross, but it's a good movie.
Yeah. I think Reservoir Dogs was one of those I really liked. Kind of like The Usual Suspects. Is that the one with Kevin Spacey?
Yep.
Like those movies for me are like where I have to figure it out. love that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah,
Where it's just hack and slash, it's just not my thing.
Yeah. To me, Pulp Fiction was also very confusing in that it took several times for me to figure out that they were actually starting at the end and going backwards in time.
Okay.
Like I never figured that out watching it the first couple of times.
I guess I'd have to look at. I watch it and I just watch it for its value, and then it's just like if I watch it again now that you say that, I'd be like, oh, this was maybe a really cool movie.
Yeah,
kind of like Memento.
Oh,
you
I have that written down.
You have Memento, and you're just
like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Oh my God! Somebody please help me understand
what's with all the tattoos. Yeah.
And you kind
I
of
love
get
that
it,
movie.
You kind of don't.
I love
and
that
then
movie.
The second and third time you watch it, you're like, this is really clever.
Yeah, totally clever.
It takes you a while, but again, it has to be where somebody kind of explains it to you almost.
Yeah, Donnie Darko. That's another one I have written down. That's one of those cult movies.
So the other thing about that is they're just so deep and so emotionally emotional tolling.
Toll. It's taken an emotional toll on you.
Couldn't figure out how that worked. That's the other thing about that is that if I'm going to watch something, I want to watch it. It's Anchorman, like I want to watch Step Brothers over again, where I'm just giggling and having a good time.
Okay, so there's a movie, but Anchorman, that you've watched over and over again.
So in college, this story's been told probably once before, but every Saturday night we would make dinner, put that movie on, and we would just sit around, eat and drink before we went to the bars. And like that movie was on every weekend.
It was your soundtrack, basically.
But it was one of those movies where I could look at it for 2 seconds, laugh, say the line a couple of times, 3 or 4 times out, and then turn it off. And it was one of those things I could always just But again, if I see it on, I don't automatically keep it on. I'll just keep flipping.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's not like I don't have that urge the way you do.
Yeah, it's weird.
I want the new.
I'm weird, I know.
I'm weird.
The Help, the movie The Help.
Okay.
I adored that movie. I just thought it was a fantastic movie. And the acting is incredible.
I've seen it.
And
have you read the book then?
No. So Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yep.
Her performance in that movie, she plays the most despicable human being, and it's so convincing. You just love her.
She's probably real. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sure she's a
Seems really sweet. The Blair Witch Project, of course, which you wouldn't know anything about.
I haven't watched it yet.
I know you haven't.
I'm just doing it to bother you.
And that's all I have written down for those movies.
That's all you have written down.
Yeah, well, we have limited time.
Well,
Those are just the movies that if I run across on TV, I have to stop and watch. I mean, I could talk about movies for days. A movie I've seen recently that I've had to watch again and make my husband watch is 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. If you haven't seen it, it's incredible.
So I have it, and it's one of those movies that I wanted to watch. It's like a 2.5 hour movie,
and it goes by like that.
Okay,
I mean,
I really
you
like
wouldn't
the
believe
actor.
it. From The Office.
Yeah.
And he's so good in that movie. I mean, he's like a total badass.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it's really good.
Yeah. And it's based on true events, and so it's kind of, if you're patriotic at all, it's very much. Well, every character in the movie is based on a real person, and they give you what happened to that person after the movie in real life, and and of course, there's the whole controversy around that Benghazi situation
with the whole
the Clinton
thing.
Yeah.
So.
But it's really great. Right from the get-go, you're like, holy crap, here we go.
I've seen the trailer, so I know, roughly what it's about. But that's one of those movies you have to sit down and be committed to it for 2.5 hours. And I don't get that very often.
Oh.
That's why I like TV shows, because I can put them on for a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. And be done
it's funny because it's like life. My husband and I just got a puppy. Yep. And it's sort of like life before our puppy, and now life that we have a puppy. I don't have 2.5 hours to sit down and watch a movie anymore either.
Exactly. And so we're kind of in
someone
that
has to pee during that time. It's not me.
Yeah. So we normally, we put the kids down or whatever. It's like 10 o'clock, or or I get home at midnight. I can't sit down and watch a 2-hour movie.
Right.
I gotta be up at 8 with the kids, so it doesn't work that way. But yeah, I'm trying to think of another movie that I've seen lately that I thought was really good. No, nothing really. I don't know. I watched Rogue One. I thought it was okay. I'll watch it again. I do want to watch Suicide Squad again.
I haven't seen it yet, and we want to see it.
And I want to see.
Is it good? I heard that they cut a lot of Jared Leto's parts out, and I'm a huge fan of his.
And I saw a YouTube clip of all the scenes that he was supposed to be in.
Oh.
And it does kind of add to some of his character, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that movie was a flop for a lot of reasons.
Really?
Yeah. If once you see it, and then I watch the Everything Wrong With. Have you seen those YouTube videos?
I don't want to do that. No.
Watch that.
I'm not going to ruin anything
and
for
you're
myself.
just like, oh yeah, that's why it's bad.
No.
Because you watch
Why
it.
do that?
There's like major plot holes that they just make up stuff to
care.
make it all okay.
If I enjoy the movie, I don't want to ruin it afterwards.
Okay, you watch it and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
It's one of those movies that I think after Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool, that this one I think they could have combined the two and said, here's a bunch of characters you don't know about, and we're gonna make them like Deadpool, where it's swearing and it's rated R.
Yeah.
You know, have Jared Leto and the girl, and have it where these are bad guys and make them do bad things or whatever, and really make it about that. But at the same time, it was way too much character creation. Like
oh, really?
Backstory. So that. And
how
then
long is it?
I don't think it's probably 2 hours or whatever. But
that's standard now.
Yeah.
I remember when that used to be a big deal.
Oh yeah.
It's 2 hours.
Oh no.
Now you're like, it's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Sort by newest. Hour 26. So I can make that work.
Yep.
The shortest. But yeah, so I want to go see that one again. I want to see Rogue One again, and I want to watch the X-Men movie. I actually watched it.
I don't get into any of those.
I thought it was really good, but I kind of want to watch it again because the ending seemed too cheap. So kind of like you have this all powerful being. Nobody can stop it until the last 5 minutes when somebody's like, "Oh, why don't we just do that?" Oh man, if we'd have thought of that 2 hours ago, this movie would have been over.
Said every horror movie ever.
Yeah,
this is how you defeat Jason. Well, at least until episode 10.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole Deus Ex Machina where somebody has to come in and save it and make the movie, complete.
Oh, that's a great movie, actually. Ex Machina. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Wait, that one's with what's that one about then?
This guy is very eccentric, and he lives in the woods and creates.
I didn't like how that one ended.
Oh, I loved it.
I wish it wouldn't have ended that way.
Oh, that movie.
I felt bad for the guy.
Well, yeah.
Because he's
the one who kind of just got sucked into it.
Got sucked into it. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
And I would have been like, I'm not going to say anything. I'll keep my mouth shut. You haven't seen it. It's a really good movie. They didn't even give him
that opportunity. Yeah, that was a great movie.
She's like,
her performance was amazing too.
Was really good. That's a good movie.
Who played the main crazy guy though? I can't. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
He. I
What's
can't think of his name.
Whatever.
He's in another movie called The.
I was excited to watch it, and then I watched it, and I was like, "This isn't that great."
He was in another movie about a folk singer, and I can't remember. This is super helpful. He's that guy that we can't think of his name, and he was in that one movie where he plays a dude.
He's in more than one movie, though. All right, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, but that's pretty much what I just don't have those movies where it's like, let's watch it again and again. Do you have any TV shows that you like Breaking Bad or? It would probably be like How I Met Your Mother for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No dramas.
I was where I watch it again.
Yeah.
No, God, no.
See, and now that you say that, I'm sure eventually someday I'll come back to Breaking Bad or Sons of Anarchy.
Then you watch it all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I've watched both of those all the way through. And Dexter, I was a big fan of Dexter. Maybe I'll probably go back to those eventually. Now,
I watched Breaking Bad all the way through live, so I didn't.
Yep, we did too.
But I don't know if I would go back and watch it again. It
gets so dark,
and it's really drawn out. At least there are some episodes where it's just like an hour or 15 minutes of nothing, and then the last 10 minutes is like worth it. When you're addict and you're week by week desperate for these things, it makes sense, and you're just
it's really funny when you're talking about Breaking Bad.
But when you're in Netflix mode and you can pound through them all,
you can just binge.
And it's just I wish somebody would come up with a list of okay, here are the episodes you don't need to watch, and here's the 5-minute synopsis of them so that you can skip.
Said the guy who reads the last page of the book. No, you don't read books.
But I can't read. Everybody knows
that. Shameless. Have you seen Shameless?
I've watched the first episode or two.
Oh,
I've watched.
It's incredible.
The first couple episodes of Weeds.
Oh, we watched a few seasons of that, but then we didn't get the channel anymore.
Yeah.
Homeland is an amazing show.
Sure. I guess I started watching. I picked up Walking Dead again. So the 6th season, I think it's on Netflix, even though they're showing the 7th right now.
Yeah.
I think it is. So
It was great up until last season, and then the season opener of this current season.
Yeah, I've heard it's crazy.
I probably won't go back to it now.
I
think I'm really disgusted by how far they took it, because to me it was
Sure.
completely unnecessary, and I was actually traumatized after watching it, like literally traumatized.
I'll have to get through season 6 here real quick.
Yeah.
And then watch season 7 opening. I know it was crazy.
Prepared.
I know it's crazy, and I know somebody dies. A character,
yeah,
a character
that
dies.
somebody dies every episode, I swear. But it's the way they do it is just horribly graphic and unnecessary.
Well, I was a little perturbed when they got caught up in that cannibal camp or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and I was just like, and they were all kneeling down, and I was just like,
it really changed so much from the first couple of seasons when it was more just about where are we going to live, how are we going to feed ourselves, who in our group can we trust, kind of thing. And then they've definitely
and like some of the characters on there where they have like the depression and stuff. It's such a downer for me that I can't.
Like any show like that, the seasons just get darker and darker. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. And I worry that there's no hope. You know what I mean? In the end, I just think that everybody just dies.
Probably.
And like in Breaking Bad, I think that's how the ending. If you haven't seen the end of Breaking Bad, I'm going to spoil it. Right here,
sorry, it's your own fault.
But it was like you kind of knew Walt had to die.
Yeah.
But it was good how they let Jesse live and escape.
Yes, because I ended up loving Jesse.
And
he ended up being the only person with any morals on that show.
And I was just listening to somebody talk about it, and they were talking about how when they first had it, like, those two hated each other.
Jesse wasn't supposed to make it past season 1, I don't believe. They were going to kill him off.
I think you're right. But they hated each other. They didn't work well together. And then in the end, they became friends, and that's where I think
things went bad.
You as a viewer, you liked their characters better.
Oh yeah,
because you felt some emotion rather than these two just hate each
angst,
other.
Right?
Like it's just like that's no fun to watch. But it was kind of like when Walt was really cared about Jesse and he knew he needed Jesse, and then at the end.
He just became so self-centered, and
he knew it had to end. He was too caught up in everything. He was too egotistical about everything, and it would never end until he died.
Yeah,
Jesse was ready to go way before that.
After his girlfriend OD'd, that was like a huge turning point.
Yeah,
for him.
and then where he got pulled into Mexico. And everybody died
and living in like a hole in the ground.
No, where he got pulled into that.
Oh no, that was the last season.
The cartel.
Okay.
Remember where? And then remember where he took the poisonous stuff and everybody dies and. Like I think he didn't want to go, And they
isn't that the season
him.
where he killed the kid?
Oh,
but he didn't really know that's what he was doing.
He ended up killing Gus. Remember? Didn't he kill Gus? Not Gus. He killed The guy showed. He went to the door. Huh? The guy who was going to be making meth, and remember Walt told him, "Hey, you need to go kill this guy." He killed him. I think that's when it kind of...
See, this is where I could watch shows again because it's been so long now that I don't remember these details
anymore. Either that or
anymore.
somebody should come up and just make like a 4-hour Breaking Bad movie where you just sit there for 4 hours and be like, that happened, and cut and paste everything in. And
why don't we do that? There's our $1 million idea.
That sounds like
Here's a synopsis.
I'm kind of lazy. That's
1 minute snapshot from each episode
ever. I barely edit 2 podcasts so we can. They want me to edit 10 seasons worth. That'd be funny.
They're making a Downton Abbey movie. I know you're really excited about that. I am. I'm super pumped. Actually,
I just never got into it.
That's a great show. Where if you're sick of just like gore and violence, and it's a really good show.
And that's why I just finished The Office. And at first I didn't like it, and I finished it, and I was really happy. I really liked it.
Steve Carell is just priceless.
Yeah, and everybody was really good. And I'm sad now because I like that sitcom comedy. I really like those.
It's just such awkwardness.
At first it is. After a while it gets a lot
better. Yeah.
And
then you should watch Seinfeld.
Podcast. Now
give
the
it
only
a
thing
shot.
Is I don't have access to Seinfeld.
It's going on Netflix.
Okay, then I will.
Yep. It was just on the news.
Okay. I will commit to that before I'll commit to Blair Witch Project.
Oh, come on. Oh, you're going to get through all whatever is 7 or 8. I don't even know. I think it was on a long
2 hours with Seinfeld, but I won't spend an hour and a half.
It's going to take you longer than that. Seinfeld was on for a long time.
Yeah. I've watched all the Friends ones. I've watched How I Met Your Mother, catching up on Big Bang Theory. Like I like that kind of stuff. That just mindless.
Oh, then you gotta watch Seinfeld.
Sit down and just feel better about yourself.
It's a show about nothing.
I know.
It's hilarious.
I've watched some. It's one of those things. unless you get in from the beginning, you can't start over. That's how I feel. You can't just jump it
you sort of need to know how they all know each other, but other than that, they do reference a lot of stuff that's already happened, but
that's how I feel. You got to start at the beginning with things.
Yeah. Well, then start at the beginning.
Well, I haven't had a chance yet.
Well, do it. Okay. It's a half hour for crying out loud. Commit to the pilot of Seinfeld.
I'm getting mad at Krista now, so I'm going to tell her we're stopping. Okay, I don't like her. She's too mean to me.
I'm trying to hold him accountable for watching television.
Watch more TV. That's funny. Okay, so we're going to cut right here. Either this will be the end, or we're going to see if we can get it together again.
Yeah.
And repost or post some more stuff.
Yeah.
But for now. If this is the end, bye.
Bye.
If not, hold on. There'll be another part. Okay. But thank you, Krista, for joining me.
Thanks
I appreciate
for having
making some time in your schedule. I know we kind of squeezed it in between.
It's fun to be Joe for 45 minutes.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be Joe. But yeah, so I think it's cool that we get to talk about stuff that's not paranormal. Just about whatever we want to talk about. A little more laid back.
It's basically just what we do every day.
Yeah. Instead of
without
us
microphones
standing
in our
there.
face.
Yeah, now we're recording it. So maybe we should leave this set up here. And then every time I come in, I'll just turn it on. Yeah.
This is gold.
Oh, Jesus. We had 85 episodes last month.
Another Seinfeld reference. Gold, Jerry. Gold.
Okay. Anyways, I think that's a great way to stop. Again, thank you for listening. If you are getting this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening to this on iTunes, because this will be up in iTunes in about a week or two.
I was going to say, then you have a time machine because we're not on
We're not on it yet. This is the power of podcasting, folks. If you are listening to iTunes, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dogs, cats, everybody else they need to listen to Friday Nights with Jeff and...
sometimes Krista.
Thank you.